Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to Global Ventures here on Planet Coaster. Now last time out we built this, which is Gare de Lyon, not Gare du Nord, Gare de Lyon. I know last episode I made the mistake and called it the wrong name. I have since rectified that. The Orient Express leaves Paris from Gare de Lyon, not Gare du Nord. Now today we are actually heading up into almost the rafters of this show building, which is looking bigger and bigger every time I look at this ride. Yeah, I'm not really sure I can scale it back much, that's the problem, because of the way that the track design is. The track pieces have to be a certain size in order to fit. But we'll make do with what we've got. But yeah, today we're heading up into the loft of the ride. And we're actually going to be working on the first Alps scene. And I say the first because I think there's going to be two. I think there's going to be one after the other. And the story of the ride at this point is they leave on the Orient Express. They head up the lift hill of the ride, which is basically going to be them on the Orient Express. And then something is going to go wrong. Something involving Fisk, because Fisk has to be involved somewhere. And they're going to get thrown off the Orient Express whilst traversing through the Alps. Now I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, because Paris to Vienna, there must be an Alps crossing somewhere, but I'm not sure where. Plus, in the famous book Murder on the Orient Express and all the films and adaptations, the train does get stuck on snowdrifts, landslides, that kind of thing, whilst going through the Alps. So I'm pretty sure that I'm staying true to life here. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they're going to get thrown off the train in the middle of the Alps. So we need to decorate this room to look like the Alps. Cue Rockwork. Lots and lots and lots of rockwork. We're going to decorate as much of this this room as possible with snow, rocks, trees, and as always, I'm pretty happy with the result. It will always have stuff added to it and taken away as time goes by. I'll always find ways to fiddle and change things here and there. But overall, I'm very satisfied with the effect. And I think with some snowfall coming from the ceiling, which does get added in this episode as well, plus the animatronics and some speakers with perhaps some voice clips and some other stuff, music of course as well, I think we're going to have a very, very good effect in this room. In real life, I have a feeling that this section of the ride would also have some kind of air conditioning effect as well to make it feel really, really cold, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So you can see I've placed two floors, one above the other. The bottom one is technically the ceiling for the room below, but it also acts as a bit of a buffer zone. So if I place a rock down here and it sticks through the floor slightly, you won't see it whilst you're going through the room below. That's the main reason why I did that, and also because you try and bring the scenery as close to the track as possible in rides like this. But yeah, it's all about just placing rocks one on top of the other now and trying to make it look a bit like a mountain. There's bits and pieces here where it could perhaps look a little bit better. I'm toying with the idea of putting some screens on the back wall there as well to try and make it look like the Alps. Maybe have like Mont Blanc or the Matterhorn on a screen in the background. We shall see. But I mean, I felt a bit bad about the amount of screens that I was placing in this ride. Obviously there's physical sets as well, but there's a lot of screen work. But in the last couple of weeks, you'll have seen, I'm sure most of you would have seen, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway has opened at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now unfortunately, because of what's going on in the world right now, I believe Walt Disney World is currently closed. So the ride itself was only open for, I think, a week or so, 2 weeks maybe, before it had to close down again, which is a real shame. But obviously safety first and all that. But the ride is really impressive. Really, really impressive. If you've not watched a POV of it yet, please do so. I promise you, you will be absolutely staggered by how good that ride is. And a lot of it is based on projections, projection mapping. There's a video by Coaster Labs called How Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway Works. If you're like me and you like to find out how these sorts of things work, I strongly suggest checking out that video. It's very well put together. There's lots and lots of good diagrams that help explain some of the effects in the ride. And the bit I liked was the fact that it tells you how much of each scene is projection mapping and how much of it is physical set. And a lot of it, obviously you have to project onto something, so there's going to be some kind of physical prop there. But some of the show scenes, like 80% of it is projection, and only 20% of it, if that, is a physical set that something's being projected onto. And yet it looks so real and so lifelike. And even the opening scene, there's a fountain, and you can kind of see where the projection goes onto the prop to turn it into a physical moving fountain. But at the same time, there's projection on top of it and there's projection underneath it, and I still haven't quite worked out exactly how it works. Where's the projector that projects onto the underside of it and all that kind of thing, and how does it look so lifelike? It's incredible how they've done it. And it's called 2.5D, which is basically, it's 3D without the glasses, which I never thought would be possible, using projection at least, but they've managed it, and it looks awesome. So do check it out if you haven't done so already. It's a very, very impressive ride, and I imagine it sets the benchmark now for all future attractions, because Rise of the Resistance was a good one, believe me, it's a good one. But I think Runaway Railway pretty much matches it, if not trumps it, in terms of technology. Very, very cleverly well done. So back to this. Right now I've placed lots of trees and some snow-lined rocks as well to try and hide the walls a little bit more. I'd like to think it's going to be predominantly dark when you go through here, or, you know, like not natural light, but made to look like natural light, so it will illuminate key areas and sort of draw your attention away from the massive walls that you can see all around, and the trees sort of do a little bit towards masking that as well. There's this big rocky outcrop in the center as well, just so you can't see one side of the room from the other. Makes the room feel a little bit bigger. Doesn't necessarily add to the experience as such, but in many ways it might make the room feel bigger lengthways as well, so it won't feel like you've just done a 90-degree turn. It might actually feel like you've maybe done like a 45-degree turn, because you can't see the track on the other side. And there will be some animatronics and stuff placed in a second to kind of add to the ambiance of the room. But yeah, it's one of these things, this room, where it's a really big room in many respects, but then once you actually start adding theming to it, you realise it's quite small in terms of where you can actually place stuff. There isn't a huge amount of options, and trying to place Rockwork and make it feel alive and part of a natural sort of rocky outcrop rather than just, you know, artificially stuffed in a room, it's a real challenge. This whole ride was basically created as a test of my skills in this game, and I certainly feel like I'm being matched by the game. Every time I think I've sort of conquered an obstacle, another one sort of creeps up. But I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying building this ride. I think it's going to look really, really good when it's done. I know I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, there's a guy who I met through networking at the uni, who's a sound engineer, and I've not contacted him yet. I probably should actually, it'd be a bit rude otherwise. But I kind of talked to him about this ride and what kind of things I wanted to do with it. And I believe he's going to help me out with music and sound effects and all that good stuff. So it could well be bespoke, custom-made sound and custom-made music, which I'm really, really looking forward to if that is the case. It's one of the things I love about these networking events and meeting these people, is you meet some incredibly talented people who, just like us with XVI, you know, we're looking for a leg up, essentially. We're looking to get noticed and to get hired. And any way I can help with little projects here and there, particularly, you know, this helps me out more than anything, getting the music for the park and the rides and things like that, because it won't just be this ride, it'll be the park as a whole, Global Ventures. So to have someone who can jump on board and help out with that, and hopefully give them a little bit of exposure as well, very, very happy to be able to do that. And you know, it opens up so many doors for what I can do with this park in the future. Not have to worry about it won't ever get finished because there won't ever be any sound effects or anything like that. So really, really happy with all that. So yeah, this little section here, you can see we've added in some snow machines. Now I think I might only have these triggered every so often, like maybe every 30 seconds or so, rather than on all the time, because it's a little too much. As you can see, there's just snow falling everywhere. So, I mean, obviously it's the Alps, it's quite snowy, it does snow quite a lot, But I think, yeah, I think it needs a little less snow. And without making the snow machines small, because you know, you still get the same amount of snow, just in a smaller area. So I'll put my thinking cap on here, and I'll try and come up with a better idea. Right, so I'm going to leave you with the music for a little bit. It's quite a long episode, this one. It's 30 minutes instead of the usual sort of 22-ish. And I have explained this in my OpenTTD series as well, but I'll explain it here for those of you that don't watch that. You're probably wondering why a lot of these time-lapse episodes are roughly the same length. The reason being is Premiere lets me choose how long I want the video to be when I speed up the footage. Instead of with Sony Studio, where I could only make it go so fast, now I have the option of how fast I want the video to go. 22 just happens to be one of my favourite, in fact it is my favourite number, because my birthday is on the 22nd. And when I used to play football, I used to have 22 on my back. And if ever I became a professional footballer, I would like to have the number 22. So, you know, I got to choose a random number to denote the length of my videos, and I thought, why not choose number 22? That would make life a lot easier. Also, it's quite a nice length for a video, 22 minutes. I can pretty much get across my point for each episode. You guys get to see quite a good amount of content without it going on for too long, because I know some people like to upload hour-long videos, and I always think if it's a time-lapse and it's an hour long, it kind of feels like a little bit too long, particularly when there's no commentary or anything other than just the time-lapse and the music. For me, it drags a little bit, and I think you guys can agree to an extent on that regard. So I like to try and keep things short, but not too short. So 22 minutes is a really good number. But yeah, I'm going to let the music carry on for a little bit, just while I mess around with these animatronics. I have a Google Doc set up now, actually, with all the colour swatches, the hex codes for each part of each character, just so I don't mess it up. So Phileas pretty much is going to wear the same outfit throughout. Passport 2 wears the same outfit. Monique wears the same outfit. The only one who changes is Fisk, because he's constantly in disguise trying to catch fog. So he's always wearing different uniforms, different outfits, whatever it might be. In fact, I think if I've not placed it already, you'll see a stunt Fisk up in the mountains. So stay tuned for that. This is also the moment where I realise I've accidentally deleted the Reform Club. So you'll see me rebuild that shortly as well. But yeah, enjoy the music, guys, and I'll be back momentarily with the next part of the video. So you can see here the new Reform Club getting built. I went with a slightly different wall pattern this time, and a slightly different window and door pattern. I think this version actually looks a little bit better than the previous version, even though it looks less like the real Reform Club. I think in terms of a ride building, it does just enough to give the illusion, whilst also fitting the space a lot better. Because previously I built the building and then tried to fit it into the space, whereas this time around the building fits the space quite nicely, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I'm really happy with this rebuild. I think it fits quite nicely. It was a nice little happy accident, really, that the old one got destroyed. Not destroyed, deleted, so that we were able to build this new one. And there's the new Reform Club complete. The new Reform Club. Not just the new Reform Club. And then here I'm just placing down some concrete tiles, trying to make this look a bit more city-like rather than, well, just floating in the void at the moment. Although I do remove some of these again in a second to represent the Thames, because I built this bit right across here and then realised, oh yeah, we're supposed to be in the middle of the river at this point as we go under the bridge. So I had to take some out again. I'm still yet to remove that corner of that building there. Obviously that will get removed. It will get integrated nicely into the show building. The entire street cafe area outside the ride there will act as the facade for the show building. So even though they're all separate buildings, eventually they'll all be combined into one. If not by actually building them all as one, but we'll put like joining walls between them so it'll all look like one big nice facade. And then somehow find a way to fit the rest in as well. Now I couldn't get rid of this tile, which was really annoying, and I kept trying to select just that tile, and it was selecting the ride and trees behind it as well for some reason. It was really annoying, but I think I do manage to get rid of it. There we go, right there. So this little scene here is set in the centre of Paris, and this is the first time Phileas Fogg meets Monique. So right now I'm just placing the animatronics, getting it all set up, making it look very nice. For some reason I gave her alien skin there for a second. I do copy and paste the hex codes from the Google Doc that I've set up. And this is kind of the first point in which, you know, Fogg realises that someone might be following him, because you see Fisk on the opposite side of the ride track in just a second. And, I mean, poor Fisk. I'm sure in the book, in fact, I think in the book, isn't it a case of mistaken identity? He hears about a robber who matches Fogg's description, and that's why he chases him. Whereas in the film, of course, Fisk is sent by the Royal Academy of Science to try and thwart Phileas Fogg. So I've kind of gone with a victim Fisk here, where he's under the impression that Fogg is someone who he actually isn't. He thinks he's a robber of some kind, whereas actually, I mean, actually, did I go with that? I think I actually went with the other one. I think I went with he was trying to thwart him. I can't remember now, but still, poor old Fisk, because at this point he turns into a stuntatronic. Now, Disney has actually developed real-life stuntatronic technology for a Spider-Man animatronic, which, again, if you have not seen videos of it, do check it out. It is awesome what they've done. I can't wait to see it actually in practice. But yeah, Fisk at this point turns into a bit of a stuntman. See, this bit here, he falls over a lot. And then, as I said, up in the mountains, he falls off a rock, which you'll see a little bit later on in this video. But it's kind of, it fits the ride perfectly because it acts as that little comedy foil to keep the kids entertained. This is a family ride after all. So the idea is to give the kids something to laugh at, give the parents something to laugh at as well, to be fair, because it is quite funny watching an animatronic fall over again and again and again. And it adds to the story. Poor old Fisk is just trying to do his job. He's not necessarily, you know, trying to... Well, no, he doesn't necessarily hate Phileas Fogg. Obviously, he's trying to stop him from completing his wager. But he doesn't hate the guy. He's just doing what he's been told to do, which is to stop him by any means necessary. And then, yeah, up here in the Alps, you can see that Phileas Fogg is crouching because there's an avalanche. Passport 2's just standing there because he's cool as a cucumber, no matter the circumstances. I don't think I actually placed Monique in this scene yet. I will be in the future. You saw her sitting on a box at the station as well. Poor Passport 2's trying to mess around with the luggage, and you've got Monique sitting on top of it. And then, yeah, I'm trying to make him stand upright because it looks a bit weird otherwise. I'm not a big fan of the big square-shaped bases that these animatronics have, because it really makes it hard to hide them. Obviously, an animatronic has to have some kind of base that it operates from, and in real life that is the case as well. But normally you can like put a prop in front of it or something like that and hide it. Whereas with this, it was really sort of tricky trying to do that. I think I got it in the end. I think I got it. You see Monique here. She's, I think at this point she's messing around with the luggage as well. I'm trying to remember what I did. It's been a couple of weeks since I recorded this footage. Again, for those of you who don't know, I've not been well the last couple of weeks. Nothing serious, thankfully, just a cold, but it meant I had no voice. So I've put off recording the voiceovers for these videos. So now I'm a little bit forgetful as to what is actually involved in all of this. And then yes, this is Fisk. So he's going to be going right up at the tippy top in this far corner here. You see I placed him here to start with, and then I realised that actually placing him here means he would drop down into the room below, which I didn't want to happen. So it's actually a real happy coincidence, again, a bit like the Reform Club. It's a real happy coincidence that the exact spot that I end up placing him in means that if this was to be built in real life, even his fall, which is, I think, 8 meters, which is quite tall, he still ends up falling into the same room. So he doesn't clip through, as you see here, he clips through into the drop down below. But I move him across like this, and it means he's got a nice big focal point up in the top corner of the room, so you can see him wherever you are in the boat. And then he also falls within the capacity of the room, so you never see him at any other point in the ride. I just think it looks really cool. The fact that he's obviously jumped off the train with Fogg and Passport 2 and Monique, and he's still trying to stop them, and yet, you know, this is his big moment. He can finally arrest them out in the Alps, and then maybe like an avalanche or an earthquake caused by an avalanche occurs and he ends up falling off the rock that he's standing on. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this episode, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you enjoyed the series. Drop some comments down below with feedback or ideas for future episodes. It's always appreciated. And besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.